Sometimes the only way that you solve something is by looking backwards rather than trying to work out in a forward motion in a chronological form. Looking backwards usually tells you what's going on. I have recently posted a complaint about something because I've been trying to solve an issue with eBay. And if you look at my Facebook page, you'll see the issue. But anyway, trying to solve this problem with eBay made me remember that some time ago I'd attempted to sue eBay. It was actually, I didn't realise it was that long ago. It's October 2021. I attempted to sue eBay because when I'd contacted their lawyers, their Sydney firm, they basically refused to talk to me on the issue and just acted like total pricks. So I attempted to resolve the issue by suing eBay and including the named lawyers that are associated allegedly as eBay's lawyers in Australia, according to the business records that I could find. So you'll see that's up on the screen now, actually. I had filed that. The Federal Court of Australia accepted the application because it's a lawful application, but yet they have never listed it. It's never been listed for a date in court. So not being pedantic, I just let it ride. I thought, well, okay, I've got other more important things to do. I won't concentrate on that. I'll just let it go. So looking back on that, and I'm thinking, now what association is that lawsuit against all those lawyers who are politically aligned potentially with one of the two major political parties? What's the chances of them being associated with me not being able to get my lawsuit listed at the beginning of 2022 when I wanted to sue the Labor Party and quite a lot of other government public officers? So I started to look at the sequence of things. Recently, a little while ago, I had attempted to resolve another issue, another side issue. I had a truck bring back my vehicle to my property, and because it's such a large truck, he was trying to avoid, we've only got very narrow streets. If you've got two cars parked side by side on the other side of the road, opposite sides of the roads, you won't get a car down the middle. It's a very narrow street. And so this truck was trying to avoid a caravan illegally parked on a footpath across the road. This caravan's been there for a couple of years. I hadn't made a complaint about it, but it's been illegally parked, and the people who own the caravan illegally leave their bins out on the pathway all the time as well. They do everything wrong. They literally do everything wrong that they could possibly do. They do it wrong, and they get rubber stamped by the government. But anyway, they had their caravan on the footpath. So I used this Android app called Snap Send Solve. It's a global app. Everyone across the globe who has an Android phone can download this app and complain to the government about local issues that are in breach of local laws, and the government's supposed to fix them, right? The reason I couldn't approach the neighbour across the road to get them to move the caravan was because they've been lying. They've been criminally defaming me behind my back. Willful defamation is a crime in South Australia where we live. I only found out that he'd been defaming me through a Freedom of Information application in 2018, and found out he'd been defaming me for years in secret government records that I had no idea. He was defaming me about. At one particular time, he claimed I'd come over to his house and assaulted him and his wife and his whoever else was he reckons I assaulted at his property. And at that specific time that he claimed I'd assaulted them, I was off being a census collector, and my activities were recorded on an app online, like, what do they call that? Instantly live. I was off wandering around the place with this application, going door to door to houses, and that was proved where I was at the time. He claimed that I was over at his place assaulting him and his family in this secret record. This never went to police for an investigation. It just sat in this secret illegal mental health record, and this prick over the road here is lying his fat little fucking face off about me. And so I couldn't obviously go over and ask him to move his caravan, because every time I've asked him to do something, he's done something else to aggravate the situation. Rubber stamped by the government. But anyway, they had their caravan on the footpath. So I used this Android app called Snap Send Solve. It's a global app. Everyone across the globe who has an Android phone can download this app and complain to the government about local issues that are in breach of local laws, and the government's supposed to fix them, right? So I did that. Took photos of the caravan on the footpath and photos of the caravan's number plate, presumably it's registered or not, and photographs of the actual property where you can actually see the property, so you can identify the property. Sent that away to the council. So council must have come out, so they moved the caravan from the pathway onto the roadway. Now, researching all the government's documents on caravans parked in domestic or residential streets, they say that the property owners or the person who owns a caravan are expected to park the caravan on their own property, not on the footpath, not on the road. It's illegal to park them on the road or a footpath or on the road, even with a car attached, for any longer than 2 hours or something like that. You're only allowed to have your caravan parked somewhere for a short period of time, allegedly, according to the local regulations. So there's a number of places around here that will store caravans for a fee, obviously, on private property to address this situation. So anyway, after they'd put this caravan out the road, I figured, well, they must be going to move it, you know. You just obviously think they're going to move it. And while this caravan was parked illegally on the road, I had 4 government public officers rock up to my house on the 3rd of March. And 2 of them were allegedly police detectives and 2 of them were health department people. And these particular people came out claiming to be sent from the local health minister because I'd sent a letter to him almost 6 months earlier, or emailed a letter almost 6 months earlier. Okay, so obviously they hadn't come out because it was 6 months previously, that letter from the local member of parliament or the local health minister. He's the same person. So you start to think, what happened recently? Well, what happened recently at that time when they came out was the jerk across the road had his caravan on the footpath. And so somebody in government, probably the local council, have been in contact with their mates down at the local political party and got 2 police officers to come out with 2 health department workers to illegally harass me, illegally threaten me, and illegally intimidate me, trying to infer that if I don't stop complaining, they'll arrest me. Okay? So he's there with his caravan parked illegally on the street, and as they were there at my property, he was erecting a fence in his front yard. Now, the fence is 2.4 metres high, which is illegal according to department. So he lives, like I do, in a state housing department property. I asked in writing to put a fence out the front of my place, and they said I couldn't put a fence any taller than 1.5 metres. So he's got a fence that's 2.4 metres, and he's illegally erecting this fence on his front boundary as the police are at my property, and his caravan's illegally parked on the road. They ignore him and they just harass me. So it's pretty obvious when you look in retrospect, they'd only come out to harass me because I'd complained about his caravan, obviously. So then I start to wonder, why is this caravan parked where it is? It's parked just opposite my my driveway, a little bit up. So if I want to reverse out from my driveway, I would potentially I would be inconvenienced because it's parked there all the time. I couldn't reverse in a trailer or drive out or reverse out a trailer without being inconvenienced like a car and trailer. And I own a trailer, right? And I own a car. So I would be inconvenienced trying to get in and out of my property with this caravan where it is. So why do they need to have this caravan parked just opposite my driveway? As it is, I start to wonder, I ask myself, there's no front window on the caravan. There's no rear window on the caravan. I don't know if there's a window on the regular footpath side of the caravan. But I know there's only one bubble window on the driver's side of the caravan if it's hitched to a vehicle, right? The bubble window is facing the people across the road from me and obviously my property. So I wonder, are they actually stalking me from that caravan? Is that caravan used as part of the process to intercept my internet communications? You have to wonder, why would the caravan be parked there illegally? Why would the government enforce the illegal parking of that caravan across the road from me that inconveniences me as I'm unable to get any email communications through my website or any email communications through my any communications through my email accounts when I attempt to contact lawyers and other people. So I have to wonder, are they using that caravan to stalk me? Are they using that caravan to monitor my entry and exit from my property? And I wonder that because it appears that somebody has loosened a tile on the back part of my house to try and gain access into the roof cavity. They would presume that I don't have locks on my on the manhole roof access, which I actually do. But these roof tiles have been loosened in a location where they couldn't possibly be affected by wind. Couldn't possibly. It's been a human has got up there and loosened those tiles. So with the integrity of the roof being breached and with one of the housing officers expressing his concern that I might be trapped in a fire in the house, you have to wonder, did they go up into the roof to try and create a gas leak in the ceiling to create a fire? They may have been stalking me since 2008, but I've also seen what they've been doing. The caravan itself was custom built. He built it up from a chassis of an old caravan. Had the rubbish on the footpath for a long time before the council told him to move it. The first year, they took it away for a holiday, obviously. But then it seemed like he was trying to sell it because there's a lot of people coming to have a look at it. Then a fellow in his mid-40s come and stood for a long time on the street and spoke about it. When it was parked in their front yard. They had it parked in their front yard for a good time. Then after this fellow came out and had a discussion, they parked it on the footpath. That's where it's been for about 2 years, 2.5 years. It was after this long discussion, he bought a new car. I don't actually think I've seen him tow the caravan with his new car. He used his mother's car to tow the caravan off the footpath onto the road. So it goes from being on their property to going on the footpath to going on the road. Why is it council have let them park it illegally when they had room on their front yard and fence their front yard off so they can't put the caravan in there now? Just doesn't make sense. Because there's been so much illegal activity happening with the fucking police. So, all these little things happen and you wonder, well, how much of them are associated and how much are coincidence? And when it comes to politics, nothing is a coincidence.